I'm Simon McDonald, Director of Membership here at the Milford Regional Chamber of Commerce, and I'd like to thank everybody for coming. Welcome to the Health and Wellness Council's webinar on mental health and wellness. Today's presenters are here to help you with ways to keep your mental health stable in the difficult times we are living in. So without further ado, I would like to present Phyllis Mullins from Healthier Life with Phyllis. She is a wellness advocate with doTERRA essential oils and will give you some information on how essential oils help your mental health. Phyllis?
Thank you, Simon. Welcome. I'm Phyllis Mullins with a Healthier Life with Phyllis. I specialize in doTERRA essential oils to help you live a healthier life, non-toxic, and with oils and products for both your body and your home. And today I'll be talking about essential oils and that can help with our mental well-being as well as alternatives to mainstream medicine. But before we get started, I'd like to explain a little bit about what essential oils are and how to use them. So doTERRA essential oils are safe. They're 100% natural with no addictions or listed side effects that can be a mile long. They are extracted from plants and are 50 to 70% or 50 to 70 times more powerful than herbs. If you were on our last Wellness Wednesday, Michelle Tenney used a whole lemon in her smoothie, rind included, because that's where the most benefits from the fruit are located. And you can check out the recording in YouTube for that recipe. Many different oils are made from different parts of the same plant, offering different benefits. doTERRA's oils are certified pure tested grade oils and are tested by an independent third party. Always make sure that any oil you choose to use is pure. Many oils contain synthetics or fragrances, and the FDA does not require companies to disclose what makes up that word fragrances, and a lot of it's toxic chemicals. Our oils are grown organically and sustainably all over the world, and we choose to help small farmers grow businesses that help lift their families out of poverty for many generations to come. And that's just something that doTERRA is committed to do. And our oils are used and studied in hospitals worldwide, such as Johns Hopkins in Maryland, Huntsman's Cancer Clinic in Salt Lake City, Vanderbilt and St. Elizabeth's Cancer Clinic, and they're actually also used right here in Connecticut in Griffin Hospital. Our oils are also more effective than modern approaches to health problems. Essential oils have the ability to permeate the cell membrane, making them more helpful in keeping our cells healthy. Antibiotics are not killing many current bacteria, but some essential oils do. They are also more affordable and than your traditional medical care, and in most cases, just pennies per dose, which of course can save you hundreds in medical costs. Then there are 3 different ways that you can use essential oils. You can use them aromatically, where you diffuse them or inhale their scents. And doing this, it positively affects mood, helps cleanse the air, and supports your respiratory system. And because there are no toxic substances, it's much healthier to diffuse your favorite scents than to burn scented candles, many of which contain toxins that once you burn them, you're breathing that in. And we have so many different oils, you can make all sorts of combinations that smell absolutely wonderful. Then you can also use them topically. You can apply the oils directly to the affected area to give you localized benefits, such as for aches and pains or other issues. You should always dilute with fractionated coconut oil for the best results and to avoid any irritation on sensitive skin. And lastly, you can take essential oils internally, either a few drops in water, other liquid, in a veggie cap, or directly under your tongue, depending on the particular oil. So this past year has certainly put a lot of stress on everyone, including our children, with the effects of COVID and everything that's going on in the country. And some of the things I'd like you to think about during this presentation are, how stressed are you in your daily life? What's the quality of your sleep? Are you getting enough rest? And lastly, how frequently do your emotions feel very difficult to manage? In this slide, we'll talk about the hypothalamus, and that's that little red spot you see in the brain. It is the tiny control tower, and when you're under stress, it tells the brain to send out stress hormones, which are designed to protect you. But when stress is frequent or prolonged, it can bring devastating effects on both your physical and mental well-being. Some symptoms include irritability, anxiety and depression, headaches, insomnia, poor immune function, and increased blood pressure. So all essential oils have different properties such as antidepressant, calming, grounding, sedative, and listed here are a few of the oils that can help with these stress symptoms that we've talked about. And many of the oils contain different properties and can help with different issues. And you can see here I've highlighted lemon and lavender. They're on 3 of the support issues. So many of them contain more than one thing. Now, this slide shows how our emotions can actually weaken parts of the body physically because besides just the emotional symptoms that you have. So anger weakens your liver, grief weakens your lungs, worry can weaken your stomach. You know, you get stomach upsets or ulcers. Stress weakens your heart and brain. Fear weakens your kidney. Love, on the other hand, can lower your blood pressure as well as your cholesterol. And laughter is helpful in reducing stress and makes your blood flow more frequently. And as you can see, allowing our emotions to run unchecked can do great harm. And doTERRA has put together some specialized blends specifically for emotional aromatherapy. Shown here are motivate, cheer, passion, forgive, console, and peace. And doTERRA has over 60 individual oils and 40 different blends. There are a few oils listed here and their uses, and I'm just going to tell you about a couple of my favorites. Frankincense being one is a most prized oil and one of my favorites because it's not only soothing for the mind, but it also supports healthy cellular function, immune, nervous, and digestive function when used internally, or it helps with pain when it's used topically. And we also have many different blends that are formulated with specific issues in mind. Serenity has a calming and relaxing aroma and is great to use for sleep. But you can also just apply a drop or 2 to the hands and inhale throughout the day to help with life's daily stressors. And in my house, we use this pretty much every night to either get to sleep or to return after awakening during the night. And you know those nights when you wake up and your mind starts going over everything you need to do the next day and all you want to do is go back to sleep. Just put a little on the base of your neck or on your pillow and inhale it. And hopefully that'll put you right back to sleep. It does us. So Balance is another of my favorites. This is a grounding, reassuring, and consoling blend, and it's one that I put on the bottom of my feet every morning just to help get my day off to a good start. Then we have our Adaptive collection, and this calming blend was formulated specifically to reduce tension and anxious feelings of overwhelm and discouragement. It empowers and encourages and helps with confidence. Adaptive is great to use when difficult situations just become too much to handle. And it comes not only in the regular essential oil, but also in a roller bottle that's already combined with fractionated coconut oil for a quick application whenever you need it. And it also comes as soft gels that you can take internally. Then we also have a whole set of roller blends specially formulated for kids. These 7 oil blends provide them with color-coded instructions that are written for adults with little knowledge of oils and for the kids, so that it's easy to choose the oils that they're needing at any given moment. It's so helpful for kids who may be stressed with returning to school, who may need some focus during their homework or even in school, or help with confidence, overcome stomach butterflies or stomach upset, or to relax when it's time for bed. So I hope I've given you some helpful information concerning essential oils and how they can be extremely helpful with our emotions, health, and mental well-being. And if you're interested in finding out more, we offer classes each week. I also offer free consultations. Message me in the chat with your contact information so I can help answer whatever questions you may have and help you on your natural wellness journey. My contact information is located on this page, and I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, Phyllis. That was very enlightening, and I appreciate all of you put into that presentation. And now we will hear from Clayton Percy. He is the Your CBD Store Worldwide Education Coordinator with the largest brick and mortar CBD retailer in the world. Clay, go ahead. Clay, unmute.
Yes. How you guys doing?
There you go.
All right. Let me just get this view on here so you guys can get me on board, and then I can share this. All right. Here we go. All right. Good morning. Good afternoon, everybody. First off, I'd like to say thank you to the other panelists. Phyllis, that was amazing. A bunch of great information. And I think when we're talking about, managing health and wellness and around mental health, I think it's an important conversation to have. And it's also a very touchy subject for a lot of homes. And I think you put it very well, Phyllis. So many of us have been through so many different things as of recent that it's important that we approach it in a very holistic approach in every situation that we can. And I think Chris is going to tail this out with probably one of the best presentations of the day. So managing health and wellness for me, that journey starts just a few years ago, and something I dealt with my whole life personally. So I think that's the reason why this was such a profound topic to speak on today. And I really appreciate the Milford Chamber for putting this all together with us. So, for me, I grew up with a lot of issues around mental health growing up, and it was something that I struggled with for quite some time, and I didn't quite understand it too much. As I got older, my career had taken shape. I was involved in a business for about 17 years, and my journey with managing that mental wellness with cannabis takes shape, but just by a stroke of God. I don't even think it could be put any other way. But our friend was actually starting this company, and she had gone through quite a bit. They had another child. She was struggling with some other health issues surrounding Crohn's disease, and we'll kind of dive into the science of it more than products. But CBD was kind of it was a settling moment for her. And a friend passed her a bottle of CBD, and at that particular point in 2018, nobody really knew what CBD was or wasn't talking about it in the mainstream. And that's kind of where this all took shape. And if you guys have never heard of us, Your CBD Stores is not just a brick and mortar retailer in the world. That picture of some of my other store owners and myself, that I have the privilege of serving as education coordinator, where we're educating ourselves as a team around the cannabis industry and erring on the side of industrial hemp in a healthy way, and then educating consumers. So Your CBD Store kicked off in Milford, Connecticut. That was our very first store in Milford, and we served over 10,000 customers in the very first month. So if you're one of the customers or you're new to hearing that name, we'll kind of put us into the education realm with you guys today, and hopefully we help you out. 1937, hemp is banned in the US, and I want to kind of go over some of this stuff so people kind of understand why CBD is such a huge topic, and it's one of the most Googled words in the world, which is pretty impressive. The Farm Bill gets passed in 2018, and here comes this plant that looks very similar to marijuana, but it's got a healthy plant profile of cannabidiol, CBD, and other plant miners. And in 2025, they estimated before the pandemic that cannabis would do, just on the CBD side, would do about $16 billion. And although that's impressive as a number for a business-wise, I think a lot of us ask, why are people using cannabis, right? And for me, I was healthy at this point. The first time I ever tried CBD, and I was sober. So I was in sober living in my own lifestyle, and I really didn't want to take anything that was going to affect my sobriety. So I think a couple of things that are really, really important to point out about, cannabis extracted from industrial hemp. is that it's non-psychoactive, and this gets discovered with the World Health Organization and pushed through in the early 90s and 2000. They really start to discover some pretty significant things that are different in between cannabis and hemp. No major interactions with most medications, and then the last piece is CBD is non-addictive. So it can be really helpful to the body, but how? And I think this is really important to educate people on. And this is what we do at our stores. We do it over private consultations with our customers, but really more so important than selling CBD products, we want to make sure that our customers understand, why CBD is so helpful to the body and why in such a wide range. So today we're going to talk about one thing, which is more spherical towards the top of the body, which is our mental health and well-being, right? So if you look at those purple and blue dots that we have here, you can Google the benefits of CBD and why people are using them. And most of the time you hear people say stress or anxiety, and those for us in our industry are power words. And it's things that in cannabis, they're looking to attribute it to, how does CBD help? Why is it helping? And I'll kind of shed some light on that stuff in the preliminary stages of why we see so many customers coming in for those topics besides inflammation and other things that go on inside of the body. But if you look at the top portion of the body, the man and the female body presentation here, you see that there's a huge concentration of those purple and blue dots. And if you see here on CB1, so CB1 receptors primarily found inside of the brain and the central nervous system, to a lesser extent in other tissues. So we see a really high concentration, and when that happens, what you're seeing a leveling of certain receptors inside of the body. And what cannabidiol does is it helps to regulate inside of the body certain receptors. And these representation of the CB1 and CB2 receptors is what makes up your endocannabinoid system. It's a really funny word, and if you've never heard it before, or if you have heard it before, there's a lot to it, and there's a lot of science that's being discovered behind it. And you'll see the opposite of that as CB2 receptors, mostly found in the other organs, especially cells associated with the immune system. So we have things surrounding nootropics, gut health, all these other things, and then you see a high concentration, obviously, towards the brain. And where your CB1 and CB2 receptors show significance there is that when you take in healthy extracted cannabidiol or CBD products, what happens is that your body, your endocannabinoid system uses that as a regulatory sense inside of the body. So regulating stuff like your serotonin and your dopamine levels, or your serotonin and dopamine receptors. So CBD, we know in the preliminary stages, people get a really, really sound response from it when it's taken and it's an actual healthy consumption of that product, meaning, how it's extracted, how it's delivered to the body. And we'll talk a little bit about that at the end here. But it's really, really important to kind of understand this first, is that your body has an endocannabinoid system. So does everything with a vertebrae. And what the science world believes is that our bodies are depleted of certain nutrients inside of the body. And all CBD is a cannabinoid, and your body actually produces cannabinoids. But when you take this extract from industrial hemp, you're investing into your body a plant minor that your body is depleted of. So the reason why we feel like the endocannabinoid system is depleted of certain nutrients is because 70 something years ago, hemp was grown wild everywhere. And what happened was chickens, cows, sheep, animals that used to eat that plant material, we used to eat that meat on a very regular basis. A lot of the runoff water from those plants would run off into our normal food chain and food supply. And when you disrupt the ecosystem by taking out those particular nutrients out of our ecosystem, your body goes off of balance. So the really cool part about our bodies is that our body understands plant nutrients and understands things that are natural very well. And if we're off in those particular areas and we consume things that are in healthy consumption and healthy levels, it can bring our body back into a state of balance, or what the science world calls it, homeostasis. So for us, we see this a lot in our stores. And one of the really important pieces to kind of identify with is, when you're taking healthy extracted plant material, how should I start? What are some ways to kind of bring myself back into leveling? Well, we see this happen a lot of the times, and these are just some recent researches and evidence that have been shown and why. But, really what CBD does is it protects the anatomized cells, and that's your bliss molecule. It's that point where a lot of the times, even families that are, having children, they're nursing, they're bathing their children, mother gets that sense of calm and peace, and that the world is right when we're at that right level of those receptors. So that's one of the really neat parts that we see when we take really healthy extracted CBD. Is the first piece of mind that we get is we're getting a leveling inside of the body. So your body is starting to kind of bring itself back into a regulatory state, which is really, really neat. And we know that that's needed in the foods that we eat, the exercise that we get, the stuff that we put into our brain, but it's also in the plant nutrients that our bodies have been depleted of. So obviously there's a lot of CBD products out on the market. One thing that makes us a little bit different is, we're a plant science company, so we source and extract all of these products ourselves. And, what's really neat is, being on that side of the sciences, we've really been able to invest a lot of time and energy into our consumers and the products that we've put out into the market. So SunMed is now the first CBD company to get registered with an IND with the FDA. And what does that mean? Is really simple, is that our CBD products are now being used in FDA clinical trials around the country. In a ton of different registered studies. And the importance of that is that we're going to go behind it and we're going to find the science of how many milligrams, what particular product, and why this particular product worked in 1,000 case studies done with anxiety, PTSD, whatever that particular issue is inside of the body, and we're going to back it up with the science. We've partnered with the University of Florida and Texas and a few other universities where we're now leading the charge in training our young practitioners as people get hip to cannabis, and where this whole entire world has evolved to is we know that there's a healthy scope of cannabis that we can take in, and that we want to back it up with clinical trials now so that we can prove the sciences. So we have a Dr. Anthony Ferrari who leads the world now in these plant sciences, and he's on staff at Sunflora. He's a brilliant young guy. We've gotten approval for 12 other clinical trials, like I was just saying, and we're now leading the way in the discovery of new cannabinoids, stuff like CBN that can help promote restfulness, and the other plant miners that go into this. So obviously we are a brick and mortar, our space is really designed for education, but we just encourage you, listen to the other panelists that are speaking, listen to the other events that we're going to be hosting with the Milford Health and Chamber Wellness Committee, because we have a great host of people that are on staff that want to give you their best. If anybody has any questions about cannabis or healthy derivative that may work for them and want to try anything, as always, we sample everything at our stores, but we're also available for phone consultation. Reach out to us through one of our Facebook pages, and we have a free gift for everybody that was on this call today. So if you just call our store, or if you show up at our store, we have a free gift waiting for you. All you have to do is mention Milford Wellness. So we hope this message finds everybody well, and stay tuned for Krista, who's up next.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Clay. That was very informative. Good to know history and science all in one little presentation. So thank you.
Right.
So last but not least, we have Krista Hewlett-Keegan, Director of Wave Integrative Medical Center, among other things. She does a lot of their community and education outreach. Today, she's going to talk about and perhaps give us a taste of meditation for a healthy mind. Krista?
All right, mic check. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Great. All right. Well, I'm presenting on a new computer today, so I'm hoping this shares properly with you. Just give me one moment here to get my screen set up. And great job, Clay. That was fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing. All right. And I think I can do this. And I think I can just click present. All right, so hopefully that looks okay and you can see me there. Thank you, Simon, for the introduction. So I do wear a few different hats at Wave Integrative Medical Center. We're located in Milford, and we've been here for about 2 or 3 years, but we've been around for about 6. And we're a group that does a lot of interesting sort of personalized healthcare treatments for people either looking to reverse chronic disease, age better, but we really work in the functional medicine sphere. And so we see a lot of interesting cases, but one of the pieces I want to work with today is that my background is actually as a published neuroscientist. And so like many other people, at certain points in my life, I was seeking balance. I was looking for balance that I I found it sort of difficult to maintain either between the work and life sphere or just other life stresses, and in particular, an illness that I went through. And in that journey, I really put my mind and effort toward some things that I'm going to share with you today, but in particular, some evidence-based meditative practices and Eastern techniques that are phenomenal for relaxation, for getting a grip on stress, and the mental health benefits, I think, are what really want to be presented here today. So I'm hoping we have time to do a small taste of a meditation together at the end of this presentation. But just in terms of tying back what meditation is going to provide to us, I really want to start from the inside of the body and just how we're wired. And most people can think about, okay, well, my brain can tell my feet to dance or my legs to run, but there's really a whole component that is unconscious about the nervous system. It's called the autonomic nervous system, or you think of it as automatic. And why is that there? Well, the reason it's there is because it's really meant to integrate a lot of information through the body. Okay, so when we think about key signals for survival, a lot of those fall in the paradigm of stress. And the body is smart enough to know that you really don't want to have to make decisions if you come across a lion. You want to have a very immediate sort of knee-jerk, almost reflex type level reaction to make sure that you're safe. But that goes into further factors as well. So if somebody has a chronic illness and is chronically in pain or has other issues, it can affect the same wiring. So when we see somebody with, at times crippling anxiety disorders, the first thing we want to sort of think about is, what is our wiring experiencing? And we want to think about that from a broad perspective. And one of my favorite examples is seasonal allergies. We're coming up on that season now. Some people will report to us, they find their anxiety or agitations actually worse as the pollen spikes. And that's a really interesting thing because there's actually a strong connection between the two for some individuals. But you can also think about it as, what's going on? Is there a chronic lung condition? Is there abdominal pain, discomfort, digestive issues? There may be other factors, such as poor self-esteem. That's just going to set somebody up for feeling a lot more stress or experiencing a lot more stress in social circumstances than other individuals. But really where all this converges is the sympathetic or fight or flight system and the parasympathetic, which is your rest and digest. And I'm not going to go into this slide, but I throw it up because most people are familiar with factors. And basically, all I want you to see here is that, I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, that the sympathetic nervous system is actually an adrenaline chain that runs through the body and can pump adrenaline out almost instantaneously. In fact, instantaneously for all intents and purposes. Whereas the parasympathetic nervous system, we really think of it as far more involved, not just with the endocannabinoid system that Clay was just mentioning for us, but really this is called a vagal nerve chain. It's one of the cranial nerves. So it means it's a nerve that it's not really coming out of the spine, it's coming out of the head, and it sort of connects and loops and balances all the vital organs of the body. And you don't want to have to remember to breathe. Okay, so this is just sort of running around in the background, and it's a helpful wiring setup to take over when the sympathetic chain is not in charge. And they really are that sort of yin and yang. But if you think about it, you can't really be in a good balance with the parasympathetic nervous system if there's a lot of triggers for the sympathetic nervous system, which can include even generalized inflammation as well as your thoughts. So just to recap some key points about what those look like and what they do is, again, going with a sympathetic adrenaline chain, is that if you're posed with a stressor, whether it's a conflict at work or whether it's a car accident or whether it's something from the more primitive natures, you're going to have an increase in breathing rate. And you might even have a sort of a sweaty palms. You're going to be poised to move, decreased awareness or recruitment. You can have from a chronic perspective, it can actually affect where your weight is stored in your body. That's a really interesting factor from all of this. But your blood vessels are going to be mobilized in a way that helps you survive. From the rest and digest perspective, the first thing that comes to mind for me is breathing easy. Okay, nice, big, deep breaths, slow paced. You're going to have a big change in, even everything in the gastric system. Bowel motility will work better. You're going to have better digestion and absorption of your nutrients. But it even goes as far as to say you have a better awareness of where your body is, and your immune system actually functions completely different in these two setups as well. If you think about what you want your body to do if you're attacked by a lion, it really probably isn't fighting a virus at that time. It wants to repair skin and work on survival. So how we think about the value of vagal nerve activity has changed dramatically in the past 10 years, I would say, from a whole health perspective. When we talk about anxiety, we're really looking at that sympathetic push. People tend to be not balanced in the center, but more persuaded to the sympathetic side. And I noticed lately that when we see people with anxiety conditions, there really is a lot of other stuff going on with the body. And one of the ones that gets the most attention, or I find the most intriguing, is actually the allergy component, because a lot of people don't realize histamine is actually a stimulant. So when seasonal allergies come through and you have these extra pressures and triggers for the sympathetic nervous system, we have stimulation. They may not be sleeping well. Most people know somebody that's using Benadryl to get down into a deep restful sleep, for example. And that in itself is going to kind of spiral. So what do we do given that all of this is unconscious? Well, from a whole health perspective at Wave Integrative Medical Center, we look at the whole person and we do personalized healthcare. But I want to offer that this is actually a great tip of evidence-based supports, is that meditation itself can actually get at some of these underlying factors. So there's been a lot of research about that. I'm not going to draw into too much of the research today because I think a lot of people do actually understand it does feel good. The biggest challenge a lot of people tell me about their meditation techniques is that it's challenging for them, either from the perspective of a racing mind, not being able to calm the thoughts, or maybe not having ever been guided in it before. For me, when I work one-on-one with an individual, it would be a little bit different than what we will do today. But I really do kind of want to learn a little bit more about their body systems and setup. And I ask a question regarding their stress, or if they do have an anxiety disorder in particular. Depression we talk about very differently, so I'm going to focus on anxiety today. But I'll ask questions like, where do you find most of your anxiety concentrated? Some people tell me it's really all in their head, or mostly in their head, with racing thoughts. They can't stop the worry, they can't stop the thinking. Some people tell me it's racing through their veins. They feel like their body's just kind of electrified and they can't calm their agitation. Other people will say it's like I'm having a panic attack. It's all in my chest. I might have palpitations. I might feel like I can't catch my breath. And then other people might say things like, I feel like I've been kicked in the gut. You know, I'm worried about things, or I'm insecure about something, and I feel like I'm not worth much. And these might affect social circumstances in various ways. So I'd like to learn this little bit, because what I found in my journey, as I alluded to in the beginning, is actually working with chakras, is the way that I like to meditate. And I've been trained as a teacher of a Japanese technique called Reiki that I find extraordinary. So not only do I do that with clients, either as a guided word or as a hands-on technique to help them through their meditative process, but we see tremendous transformation on the emotional sector for patients, and whether it's connecting with self and having a different clarity for what's going on with them and being able to regulate that, or just revelations of things that they kind of were burying that sort of come to the surface. And we call that an emotional detox that I find really helpful. So I want to walk through just the minor parts of what a general group meditation might look like. We do this at our clinic as well. Of course, we did set up a large community group room for group meditations, which we began before COVID, but for safety and for group health, we decided to put that off until vaccinations are much more rolled out. But we do have the opportunity to do virtual techniques for people concerned about that as well. And I'll tell you more about how to hear about that with us after. But just to spend a few minutes, I'm going to actually set a little timer here to know where we are, because when I go into meditation, sometimes I kind of leave and I may not know how long we're taking. So we're going to be working with something called the Chakra System. And we focus on these as sort of energy focal areas where emotions can build up, where concerns can build up. And I do find they overlay with these descriptions people have about their stress or anxieties. So we're going to begin today by tapping into this unconscious vagal nerve setup in the parasympathetic nervous system by working with our breathing. So we're doing a feedback loop with that nervous system. So I'm going to ask us all to sit back and get into a comfortable position. I do ask you uncross your legs unless you're seated on the floor. You want to comfortably cross your legs, you can do that. And putting your hands by your sides. The first thing we're going to do is some slow, deep breathing exercises. So let's breathe in for 3. And a nice long exhale. So as you listen to my voice, maintain that slow rhythm of breathing. And begin to sit back in observation of the body. I'd like you to have your mind move with your breath. Have your mind positioned with the air outside of your mouth, moving into the lungs as you inhale. And experience the lungs expanding, ballooning out as they fill to capacity, stretching the diaphragm. And then allowing that diaphragm to be a controlled relaxation as your lungs let go of the air. And one of my favorite things to do as I sit mindful in observation of my breath is a moment of gratitude for how the body serves in the background, day in and day out, without any conscious work. Take a moment of appreciation for the work of the body's machine as it is able to deliver that breath to every cell in your body. And as you do that, in non-judgment, begin to notice what you notice. The key is observation. If you feel an ache or pain in your body, if you have thoughts racing into the mind's screen, just be aware of them. Set yourself aside and notice. There is no right or wrong. There is no better or worse. It's only to observe. Now, what I also would like you to observe and appreciate is that the orchestration, the body's symphony, if you will, is so finely tuned, so intricate, and yet so natural, that with the exhale, your body is releasing that which cells all throughout you have delivered back to the lungs to say, this is not needed here. On your next exhale, be mindful that you are releasing the waste your body has naturally and easily collected for release. I like to take a moment for an affirmation here to say, I release that which I do not need. Say those words out loud in your space. I release that which I do not need. Notice how you feel. Continue your slow breathing. Also make yourself for a moment aware that you are joined in the presence of others, also mindful, also connecting to self and to you. Together, let's open our third eye, part of the chakra system located in the head. I'd like you to imagine a line above the top of the ears. And imagine a second line intersecting between the brow and the occiput, known as the back of the head, or the back of the head known as the occiput. Imagine a line intersecting there. And in the center of that line, allow your mind's eye to envision a ball of light. Relaxing into your breath, no pressure, only patience. Notice what you notice. And if you happen to notice a ball of light, what are its characteristics? We observe. Is it moving or stable? What is its size? Does it have color? Does it change colors? Allow. And try to see if you can put your mindful focus as close to or in it as possible, merging as one. Be comfortable where you are in the meditation, noticing thoughts, noticing the light. And if you are able, with our mind's effort, we get that light to grow. Ask it to grow. If you can, make it bigger. Trying to keep it in that intersection, that line between the brow line, and the ears. As you work with it to grow, see if it can, in fact, fill the entire head. And simply notice what you notice. Everybody is different in this exercise. Say the affirmation, I am connected to self. When we think about it, that's a really beautiful affirmation. We spend our days busy at work, doing things for friends and family, oftentimes preoccupied and not taking time to go inside. Our connection with ourself is in fact very important. This is the exercise I like to do for people struggling with stress, and in fact, maybe having racing concerns and worry. Say the words again, I am connected to self. And then add the affirmation, my body helps me handle stress to be my best self. Do you feel anything? Notice if you feel anything through your body. Maybe a sense of peace, or maybe there is tingling, movements, sensations. All of these things are feedback that you're meant to experience. The last affirmation today will be, I appreciate my body's efforts to handle stress. A few more breaths. Bringing to yourself that which you need. Releasing that which you don't. Namaste. So I think I may have gone a little over time. Take a moment to come back into the outer world, as I may call it. This technique is something I usually do in person with somebody, but we actually work as a journey down through the body at various places. And in fact, with Reiki, there's actually some hands-on factors that occur with the practitioner like myself and the individual. But really, we actually do get to work with a lot of really interesting emotions through the chakras. And I do find a lot of people, especially with head and neck anxiety experiences, the third eye really does like to open up in these situations, and like a muscle over time, the experience of trying to open and be connected goes faster, smoother, bigger. So with that, I thank you so much for your time. I would like everyone to know that we are here for these methods to work with people either over a period of time or as a teacher to let people understand how to do this at home for themselves. And we do have a site on our page called Events, where group meditation events will be posted and notified for your benefit. So if anyone would like to reach out, you can reach us at the information below. Thank you.
Thank you, Krista. That was wonderful. And I'm just sorry, I'm still waking up. So that is the end of our presentation today. We'll be back again next month with a new Health and Wellness Council webinar, and we hope you can all enjoy it. Other than that, have a great week. Hopefully you're leaving here a little bit more relaxed and a little more sure of yourself. And if you need any help, I'm sure Krista, Clay, and Phyllis will be happy to help you. And with that, and my phone ringing, back to reality. Have a great day, everybody.